Okay. So story structure goes, what's my point? So I want you to think about this. And this, again, this does tap into your why. When you're telling people about your story, when you're telling them about other people's stories, you have to go, in this point in their journey, what am I trying to get them to do? If you're just trying to get somebody on the phone with you, your story should be about somebody that had a hard time getting on the phone. If your story is to get them to take that first step, your story should be about that person that had a hard time taking that first step. So you want to get segmented stories, segmented testimonials, things that really affect them in different ways. And the story goes like this. You know what? Here's the situation. Here's what's going on. Here's the characters in the story. So we worked with somebody that was doing this, and they were encountering this, and they had it doesn't always have to be about pain. I think in sales, a lot of times we talk about, we got to talk about the pain. We got to really, I don't think we need to. I think we just have to talk about situations and say, you know what? There were some complications. So they wanted to go here. So they're either in crisis mode or growth mode. They really wanted to go this direction, but they were having a hard time doing that because these things were in the way. The heroes were like this. This is what they did. And the better we tell the situation, the complication that relates to the audience, the more they connect with it. Remember we said like the cortex activity? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get them to connect with that story. And then we're going to say, okay, but when we realized this is what was possible when we did these things, all of a sudden now, this is what the future looks like. All of your stories can follow this pattern. And I use this a lot of times for paraphrasing. And I even use this when I send out a conceptual agreement with somebody that I want to do business with. So think about this. You've got somebody that you've met with, you've had a great strategy session. And you get to the point where you're like, oh man, I really think I can help you. You know what? I believe this and you believe that. Here's what my why is. Here's what your why is. Can I just make sure that I understand this correctly? Can I tell your story back to you? Well, it sounds like this is what's happening. It's going like this. And you guys have been doing this for a while and it's happening like this. However, you're realizing that these things are also happening. That's the complication. And if you could just find a way to do this, that turning point, then all of a sudden these things are possible. Now, what else is possible if those things change? We ask this sort of need payoff question, and they'll tell you, well, this is possible. Oh, that makes sense. And you get them to all of a sudden access in their brain going, you know what? I didn't see it like that. This is, oh, interesting. And they're going to start asking you questions. The power of stories, especially here, is really, really powerful. Power of stories is powerful. There you go. That's mine. The other thing I use this for is if I'm talking with, I just did this with that potential new client that's now going to be a client, is I talked to somebody who really wanted to do this program, but she had to then go sell it to somebody else. So I said, cool, I'm going to summarize what we talked about and I'm going to send this to you. But I sent it to her in a way that also tells their story so that when she shares this, the person reading it can connect with the story that I told in the email. So that's why the overview of your proposal, that's why when you send stuff out, if you tell their story in this way and you add some intonation, you add the complications, you add excitement, you add energy to it, not just the logic, you'll be able to connect your proposals to the next thing. And I'll give you a ninja tip. I use a program called Loom where we do video emails. So I'll take that PDF proposals and I'll do a video over top of that, really focusing in on the emotional side of it. So that's my ninja tip for the day. Okay. And then this is what I always ask. Have I missed anything? This is the only time when you're trying to sell that you're totally cool here to know. Right? Is you say, it sounds like you've been dealing with this. It's going like this. If we can find a way to do this, then all of a sudden this is possible. Have I missed anything? No. And then my transition phrase is, okay, cool. Here's what I'm thinking. Now I can position my offer. Okay. The types of stories you guys can look at. One, of course, your why, which we're going to talk about. Your company. Tell your company story. You know what? Before we got into business, we were looking at, the owners or my partners. Here's what we saw in the marketplace. We were doing these things. And what we noticed in the market, this stuff wasn't happening. And so we really believed that people were getting a bad rap. For me, my thing is don't be a salesy weirdo. What I've realized in the marketplace is I've helped salespeople all over the world. But what I realize is a lot of people don't have a hard time with the technical side of selling. They have a hard time with who they become when they're trying to sell. And when we realize, especially when we talk about, there's a thing in our brain called the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which is that part of our brain when we drink expensive wine, it feels better. The experience is better. So when we're talking about our why, when we're talking about our personal brand, we're talking about our company, if we have energy behind it, people go, this experience feels better, therefore this has more value to me. So this isn't just a kumbaya thing getting you feel good. Your customers feel better because they're being a part of something, okay? The other thing we can do, our previous customers. So you got to get good at telling testimonials and telling those segmented stories for where you're trying to push them over the edge. And of course, like I just mentioned, your conceptual agreement and your ability to paraphrase. If you can do these 4 stories, you can sell anything and you can help your customers get excited about buying. Now, I want you to think about, again, like I said from the start, is if you're the customer on the other end of a really good story, that person really believes in what they're doing. You might be more likely to listen. You might be, oh, wow, this is somebody, if they can have this passion for them, what could they do for me? If you're on the other end of somebody telling a great company story, now they're transferring that trust. I bought you. Now I'm definitely buying this company because if these guys, I like this guy or this girl, and they're vouching for this company, now I think that, I should probably maybe take a listen. If they really are excited about other people, I can see myself. If it was done before, it can be done again. If they can do it, I can do it. Right. And then also, if you're really good at telling them their story back and paraphrasing, if you're on the other end of it, they go, they really get me. How many times do you feel when you're talking to your clients that they just don't get it? The better you tell stories, the better you convey your why, the better they're going to get it, and the better they're going to buy. Wait, that really rhymed. Hey, that's a good one. So your why is really powerful. And this is why when we go out like networking, how many times you go, what do you do? And somebody goes, blah, 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 and they throw up all their stuff over you. And then they go, what do you do? And you wait for your turn, like double dutch skipping rope. And so we end up going away and we get this stack of business cards and say, hey, look, I networked, right? That's why if we go back to this, back to this one, if you get good and somebody says, what do? You say, you know what? I'm really excited. You know what I help people do? And you tell about how you help people solve problems. And they go, oh, what is that? And they're going to say, why? Why? And then you're going to say, this is why I do it. And then you're going to say, what do you do? So you want to go from the why to the how do you do it, to what is it that you do. My game was always in networking. How long can I go before somebody actually understands what I do? Because they're so engaged in how I'm helping and what I'm talking about, what we're working on. I'm talking about them. I'm asking them questions. We're already solving problems. We're already booking meetings. And they say, by the way, what do you do? And I can say, I'm a sales consultant. At that point, it doesn't matter. What do you do doesn't matter. Why you do it and how you do it is really more powerful. And that's why this guy, if you ever get a chance, we can put a link to this. He's got a TED Talk called Why Great Leaders Inspire Innovation. And he talks about the golden circle. He talks about the why, what, how. And that's why Apple is not a product company. They're like a cult. They're a culture. They're a movement, right? People buy Apple because of why they're doing things, because of how it makes them feel. Not because it's the best thing in the market. And I think, anybody that's got an Apple product will probably now yell at me. I'm an Android guy. Who cares? But what we look at is people buy why you do it, not what you do. And if you want to own your market, if you want to go back, like you now take the succession planning training and you want to go back into your market and you get excited, you can revisit everybody that you've sent those transactional emails to and say, hey, you know what? I'm really excited about this. I was thinking about you because, something came across my desk that got me really pumped because I read this article and you know what? This might be for you. When's a good time for us to talk? Because I really believe in this. My mission is helping people do this. And one of the things I'll share with you guys after is we've been working on a fast action program we'll get into, and we've been doing templates and surveys and ways that you can actually cultivate your why into your messaging, value-driven messaging, purpose-driven messaging, so that you can actually do this outreach.